Hello, everyone. So we are going to be walking through what the registration and reporting platform is all about. So this is also known as the R&R platform. So this platform is going to be used for anything Enactus related, whether it comes to keeping track of your contacts, your volunteer hours, registering for any of our upcoming events. So that could be any of our training sessions, regional exposition, national exposition, so on and so forth. In addition to applying for any of our project accelerators, bursaries, nominating yourself or someone else for any of our awards, and at the end of the year for anything related to final reporting. So this is a very, very important platform to know how to navigate and how to use and what the purpose is. So I'll be handing it over to Hanif to kind of walk you through that process. And obviously, if you have any questions, reach out to your respective program managers.
Awesome. So let's get started. The registration and reporting platform, as Arthi mentioned, is designed to simplify things and to keep everything in one central spot. And all of that begins with the program registration form. And so this link has been sent out to all of you in the past, but if you need to find it, you can find it on the team resources page of our website under new registration and reporting platform. There is a program registration form in English, and there's also one in French if you choose to fill it out in French. And so this registration form needs to be completed by every single student and faculty advisor from every single team across Canada. So to complete your registration, you first need to verify your email. Now, this is an email address that's going to be used for everything else that you register for using the R&R. So if you're submitting an award nomination, if you're submitting your volunteer hours, you're going to need to log into your profile using this email address. So make sure you don't use a team email address. Make sure it's a personal email address that is unique to yourself. So for example, I'll put enactus.ca. I'm going to verify my email. What it'll do is it'll send me an email with a PIN code that I need to put in. So I'm just going to wait a moment to get that email. And once you get that code, you're just going to copy it and paste it into the verification spot there. So this is the cover page. It explains what the form is all about, which I already explained to you. But basically, everyone needs to complete it. It's asking for some very basic information like contact information, what year you're in, some demographic information, which is also optional to complete, but it does help us figure out, what our priorities are for the Enactus Canada program. So once everyone on your team actually completes this form, what happens from there? Well, it goes into your team dashboard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an example of a team dashboard that we created for Enactus Canada. And so everyone is going to be sent an individual team dashboard link. And so what I mean by everyone is every single team. And so the team president, you're going to receive it from your program manager. You're going to receive a link and you're going to receive a password. The reason why it's password protected is obviously it has information about team members and students. So this link and password shouldn't be sent around to your entire team. It should only be kept within a small group, similar to team.enactus.ca with your login and password. So once you have the link and the password, you're going to open up your team dashboard. And this is what it looks like. And we'll sort of walk you through the different components, but it is fairly straightforward to follow. So every single team dashboard is going to show all of your faculty advisors and students that are registered. And it's going to be sorted through people who have R&R access and people who don't. And I'll explain what that means as well in a second. So as you can see, we have 5 students registered right now and 1 faculty advisor. So there's a few different fields that we have shown on the team dashboard, some things that you'll be able to edit and some useful information that you can use for your team as well. So first things first, you have email addresses. So if you need to contact your team members for any reason, you can do so. There's the contact type, which we've already gone through. There's the active inactive status. So this is similar from team.enactus.ca. If someone is no longer part of your team, they're no longer part of the Enactus Canada head office, then you would be editing their status to be inactive, and I'll show you how to edit someone's information in just a moment as well. So this shows if someone's active or inactive. There's whether or not they are the student leader. So it turns out that I am the student leader of the Enactus Canada team. There's also the role on the team, so you'll be able to see everyone's roles that they've submitted, and if their role changes throughout the year, you'll be able to edit that as well. And then you'll be able to see the volunteer hours that people have submitted and the last time that their hours were edited. And so as you can see, a few of us have done an extreme amount of hours over the last few months. And you can see all 12 months and then the total hours as well. What's really convenient about this is you'll be able to see the hours by individual, by month, their total hours, but then you also get the total hours for your team in a really easy format as well. And so there's no more need for calculations or anything like that because everything is showing up here. In addition to seeing volunteer hours, you'll be able to see registration for different events and also for training sessions. So for example, Collaboration Summit, regionals and nationals, what it'll look like is you'll see the person's name there. That means that they've actually registered for that event. And if it's blank, then there's no one registered or they haven't submitted their registration yet. For training sessions, once the training session is confirmed with the timings and the dates, it'll be updated at the top. So as of right now, October training sessions, November, etc., are not confirmed yet. But once they are, you'll be able to see the date and the time, and you'll be able to see who's registered from your team. So as of right now, the only one who registered for the September one is Arthi, but it looks like some of us have registered for some of the November ones, and some of us haven't. Now, what's really useful about this as well is that you have the ability to sort and filter things however you want. So let's say I wanted to quickly filter by who is attending the November 1st training session. So I go and find November 1st training, and I want to see who's registered, and it'll filter it down to who's registered. I could also do the opposite and figure out where, let's say training session is empty, right? So these two people, Eric and Thierry, obviously need to register for the November training session. This is really helpful for you to follow up with your team members who aren't registering for training sessions, because obviously the expectation is to be attending every single training session that we host so that you can make the most of your Enactus experience. The tools in terms of filtering and sorting are also helpful as well. For other things, if you want to filter or sort your list by alphabetical order, you can. If you want to group it by different things, if you want to add a subgroup, you can. Feel free to play around with this. You can change the row height, and so you can customize it to look the way you want it to look. You can also hide things if you don't want to see all of this information. But this is the basic team dashboard that you're going to be using to be able to see any of the information from your team members. Now, as you can see, there are two buttons on this dashboard that would allow you to edit someone's information, the Edit Person button and Edit Hours. Now, these buttons will actually take you to a form that edits information on the back end, but only certain individuals are given access to be able to use those forms. And those are the people with R&R access that say yes. Now, as I mentioned before, the student leader, when they register using the program registration form, they're automatically given R&R access. Now, R&R access is important for a few different things. Number one, for accessing these admin forms on the back end of the team dashboard, but it's also important for submitting anything on behalf of the team. So for example, project accelerator applications, submitting team registration for regionals and nationals, submitting project verification forms and challenge reports or annual reports, submitting project accelerator final impact reports or the general final reporting. All of that will require R&R access to be able to access those forms to submit all that information. So you need to be very clear and very precise with who you want to give access to. So to give someone else R&R access as a student leader, it's fairly straightforward and easy. All you have to do is click on the Edit Person button for whoever you're trying to edit information of. For example, let's say I want to give Eric R&R access. I click the edit person and it takes me to an admin form. I have to log in using my email. And I'll pull up the pin that I get in my email account. And once I do that and continue, it'll take me to a form that will allow me to edit some of Eric's information. So for example, I can edit his first name, last name. I can edit his role within the team. So if his role has changed and he's now a project manager instead of a VP of tech or whatever it is, I can edit that information. I can edit whether Eric is an active student on our team or inactive. So if someone's no longer part of your Enactus team, you wouldn't delete their information off the system. You would just put them as inactive. And then the last question is, do you want to allow edit to edit information on the R&R platform using the admin forms, submit project accelerator application, submit team registration, etc. So this is the question of, is Eric going to get R&R access? So I'm going to put yes, because I want him to have access, and I'll click submit changes. What's good about this form as well is that there's a few warnings. So for example, it'll say you're editing Eric's information, just in case you thought you were editing someone else's information. And all of this pre-filled information is coming from their registration, their program registration. So don't delete something unless you're editing it, right? So you don't want to delete Eric's name because then he would have no first name on our system. So I'm going to click yes and submit changes. Changes submitted for Eric. Great. So now if I go back to the dashboard, and I give this a quick refresh, it now shows that Eric has R&R access. So he would be able to submit all those different items on behalf of the team. And he, if given the team dashboard link and password, would be able to go in and edit other people's information here and also edit their hours. Now, let's say someone else, for whatever reason, was given access to this form, or for example, if they tried to submit a project accelerator application and they don't have R&R access, I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm going to sign out. And since, let's say, Arthi does not have R&R access right now, we're going to try logging in as her and see what the form says. And so as she gets that, that pin, I want to quickly reiterate that this is specifically for forms that are used to submit things on behalf of a team. So the project accelerators application, a team registration application, or a team registration for regionals or nationals, things like that. So I'm going to continue here. And since she doesn't have R&R access, she's not going to be able to access this form. It's an admin form. And so this is the message that is going to show up. So if anyone in the future tells you, hey, I was trying to submit a project accelerator application and you thought they were able to, and they get this message, that means you need to go in to your team dashboard and you need to give them access if you want them to be able to submit things on behalf of the team. And so that's what it looks like. And so there were two forms on this dashboard that you can use. One is edit person, one is edit hours. So if I were to go to edit my hours, for example, and again, we don't have access because we're signed in as Arthi. So let me sign back into my account. And what's great is once you sign in once, because of the cookies, it normally keeps you signed in, which is great. And so I'm just going to wait for that security code. Now, this is a volunteer hours submission form on the back end. So this is an admin form. And you'll notice a couple of things that are different from this compared to the form that everyone else is sent every month. So on this form, you will be able to see, first of all, that you're editing Hanif Kareem's volunteer hours, whose hours you're editing. Again, the note is you don't want to edit anything that's already pre-filled unless you're editing that specific hour. So let's say I wanted to add April's hours. I don't need to delete everything from May, June, July, and August. I just need to add April and click submit. I don't need to change anything else. And so let's say someone forgot to submit their hours for a certain month, I can go in and edit Hanif's hours. So I can edit my hours and put in my hours for September. Let's say I did 40 hours. And I know in June I did not do 3,600 or 3,963. I only did 396. I accidentally added an extra 3. So let me change that. And I can click submit. Volunteer hours submitted, which is great. And so let's go back to the dashboard, refresh that. And as you can see, it's already updated on here. The last time the hours were updated was on September 3rd. So I know things are up to date, and everything has been updated. My new total is there as well. That's the admin form. Every single month, students are going to be sent a link. Well, those who opted into email communications are going to be sent a link to submit their own hours. And this is the primary way we want hours to be submitted. The admin form is mainly to be used if people are submitting wrong hours, they forget to submit hours, things like that. And so this link is going to be sent, and it's available in English and French as well. And so if you did your program registration in English, you're going to be sent the English link. If you did it in French, you're going to be sent the French link, but you'll always have the option to use the other language form if you want. And so from the student side of things, this is what the form will look like. We're going to start again. New submission. So this is what it's going to look like. From starting right now, everyone is going to be able to submit hours for May, June, July, August, and September. But starting in October, students will only be able to submit hours for the previous month and the current month. So in October, you're only going to be able to submit for September and October. Then in November, it'll be October and November, and so on. And so everyone needs to make sure that they're staying up to date with inputting their hours, which is why we're sending that monthly email reminder. And so as you can see, they only have access to certain months to submit their hours. They don't have access to all 12 months, whereas the admin form does. So there's some small changes and differences between the different forms that I wanted to identify for you. And so this is the basics of the team dashboard. Again, you can sort, filter, hide things however you want. You can edit information. You can edit hours. You can give R&R access to other individuals. You can see who's registering for training sessions and who you need to nudge on the back a little bit to get their registrations in. And again, if you have any questions about anything, you can feel free to reach out to your program manager.